You're on.
All right, 4 o'clock, Monday, October 23rd. I'd like to open the Selectmen's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any public input? Having none, I'm going to jump the schedule just a tiniest bit and review and approval of minutes after we do the bid openings so that I don't waste this man's time any more than we have to.
Sounds good.
Because we have 2 bid openings. This is for the project at Union Wharf. First one is up by Leslie Roberts. Appears that all the paperwork is completed as required. And the quote is $329,633. Pass that for you to look at.
And what do we have for money?
Last I knew it was $284 and change. Next up is from the Hanson Bridge Company. Total bid amount being $639,000.
Ouch.
Seems once again we've
Good to
fallen.
get 2 bids. It's good to get 2.
Yes.
Really?
Does that, the money that we have, does that include the $100,000
Boat
grant?
ramp?
Right.
No.
So it's 280
284 plus
150.
the 150, whatever it was for the boat ramp.
Yeah.
And we can,
Well, it sounds like we have enough money.
not knowing what the boat ramp's gonna cost, if we do the boat ramp, I don't know.
Well, I don't think we ever intended to do the big boat ramp. The 150 is for, that grant includes
Well, it can be used.
things connected to the boat ramp.
Yep.
Cause you gotta, when you launch a boat, you gotta go somewhere with it.
True enough. Town boat launch used to be at the other end of the bay, and it was just a cut from the bay.
I would like to recommend that, I'm at a loss for your name.
Mike Duffy.
Mike, sorry.
Okay.
I would like to recommend that Mike take this bid for a week and come back to us with a recommendation after he's had time to study it and make sure that it conforms to the RFP. And we have the proper allotment of money.
Is that a motion?
Well, not yet. Does that sound agreeable to you two?
Sounds agreeable to me. Mike has a lot more experience with this than I do.
So you haven't looked at these yet?
The sealed bids.
Okay. So
Oh, that was the whole point.
I'll second
I'll make that motion.
Bob's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, you want to just stick that back in the envelope, Chip, so we can hand those to Mike? and he can
So
do
you
it?
guys don't meet for 2 weeks?
That would be correct.
Correct.
Would that be as soon as you'd be able to make a decision on this then, do you think,
Unless we have a special meeting. Do we need to have a workshop or anything? Or anything coming up?
You need one for starting to do warrant articles and any definitive, you need to come up with a definitive decision on what you're gonna do with the police station. So,
I'm not available this Friday, but the following Friday I am, so could shave a few days off, but
Well, I'm available anytime.
Well, it's,
I had said in the bid that we would try to award, what did I say? You know, the thing is, if, there's still time to do it this year, it depends on what the contractor's schedule would be.
Right.
It takes them a little bit of time to get some stuff together. Let me just see what I said in the advertisement.
Bob, can you do a short one Monday morning?
no, I'm not gonna be here Monday morning.
It said award for the work shall be issued
Like a
approximately
afternoon.
1 week after the bids are opened. Now, approximately means just that, if it's 2 weeks after. I'd say it's more a function of whether or not those guys would want to get going right away. So the next thing that you would do is, this is called the notice of award. So it's one of the many pieces of information in here. When this is issued, the contractor knows he's got the job, and then he'll go and get his bonds put together and his insurance certificate. And then there's an agreement form in here which would get all filled out. And so we get all of those papers together, and then the contractor can sign it ahead, or we can actually meet and sign the agreement in person. So that's something that you can do. I don't know if you guys need original signatures on documents, if you
I
want.
like this bond agreement, for example. things like
That's,
that.
yeah, that's the bid bond right there. So that's the bond that they give us to assure that they'll hold their bid price. Or they'll give up 5% of the bid
I
price.
could Monday afternoon.
and Friday's out.
This Friday is out. I'm gonna be off grid. This is my getaway weekend.
So the 31st, which is
I mean,
next
it's not
Monday
gonna take me
afternoon.
long to
we're
look
talking
at
about?
that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
The 30th, Monday the 30th?
We do 1 o'clock,
I can.
1 o'clock on Monday.
1 o'clock on Monday, you'll have.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna look through these, I'm gonna write a recommendation letter, quick, short and sweet, won't have to say much. And then I certify the bid amounts, essentially I'll do a form and I'll put my engineer stamp on it to say these were the bids. And so I'll certify that. And then it's really probably for you guys just to make sure you have the money, right? I mean, more than anything else. or-
Would it be in our best interest to have him review the $150,000 grant documents to make sure that that money is?
Is it 150 or 1?
I thought it was.
I thought it was 1. I thought it was 1.
It
So
is
did
one.
I.
You said 1, you said 150.
I'd have to look.
100.
Is it 100?
Rather
The
than-
ayes have it. So it's 100.
To have him review the document to make sure that it's permissible to
I
spend that
think he's
money.
already gone through that when we went through the application for the grant.
You know, I was looking, that was something Tyler helped, obviously he helped
Right.
you guys with, so was just looking for an email from him that said, Mike, can you help us? And the numbers were in there, but I didn't have that email with me. But that's all I'd say it's a function of. So if we can meet next Monday, I think that would be great. I have all the paperwork by then, you can check, make sure you got the money, and should be good to go.
But you're gonna look through the grant document?
I'll look to make sure, I'll confirm how much money I think you have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and if there are any conditions, I didn't read it.
I think the condition was you had to spend the money by next July. I think that's,
That sounds
What I
familiar,
remember.
very familiar.
Yeah.
If it's in-house, I'll review it too.
Please, thank you.
okay, so I'll do a little on my end. I'll send an email over tomorrow, or probably tomorrow. I'll just spend an hour or so and put that together, review these, so that you'll have that well ahead. I'll let both bidders know what the numbers were. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
Roberts may not be completely happy with that, but he had given a quote of $225 to Tyler a while ago, but it didn't include bonds and all this, a bunch of other stuff that was in there. So I think that's
Great.
good shape. Yeah. I would like to know how much you want me to stay involved with this. I'm happy to fill out paperwork for you and, review things. Review submittals even on the anything that the contractor's putting in, he would send in what's called shop drawings. So these would be the construction services rather than bidding services. So I could also put together an agreement or a change of scope from what we have right now. If you
Yeah,
want,
'cause
if
we-
you want me around, I mean,
Well,
Somebody's gotta make sure it's built to design. I mean,
yeah.
we're not gonna get.
Well, so we're requiring in here that the contractor has to actually give us a stamped design by a structural engineer. One of the things in that addendum, we put out that we wanted them to go out and do test borings. Tyler said he did a couple, but believe it or not, the state wouldn't let him do borings outside the pier or the wharf. He had to do borings inside the wharf, and there was so much junk underneath there, they couldn't drill through. So that was what that addendum was. I identified, soil strength, and a few other things in there. The design life of 50 years, that has to do with the thickness of the steel. It's a part of the design. They'll say it loses 1/8 of an inch over 50 years, and therefore the steel needs to be 1/8 of an inch thicker than blah, blah, blah. So that'll be something that would be a submittal. Again, that's kind of one of those things that the sooner we can tell him he's got the job, the sooner he'll get his guy to design that, the sooner he can get the product, so, that we can maybe this late fall.
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, would be good.
Monday at 1.
Monday at 1.
Be there or be square.
I'll put together a change of scope and I'll try to send that over to him. I'm gonna take a couple days off this week,
No.
so, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that being said, let's go to review of minutes.
Goodbye, ladies.
Bye.
We have, minutes from October 2nd. I've read through them, nothing jumps out at me.
Move we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Well, our next appointment is until 4:30, but I think it would be to our advantage to look at the signature file, which is weird. We have an agreement to sign with the Wolfboro Snowmobile Club granting them access to various town properties. The transfer station, backland they call that, Sandy Knoll, Governor Wentworth Highway, and 451 Governor Wentworth Highway. These are basically some roads, some power line stuff, some crossings, but they haven't put Langs Pond Road on there, and they've used that year after year as a snowmobile trail. So I think that should go back and they should add Langs Pond Road if they want to keep using it. Then we have to decide whether we want a 1 year, an indefinite, a 5-year plan with them, however they want to do it.
Do they need permission to use Lamb's Pond Road?
As far as I know, they do.
What's the use?
Well, I think you're probably right. They need to at least update their.
All right, so Cameron, you want to?
They're limited to 3 years on their ASCO.
Well, this term here says indefinite, 1 year or 5 years. So, you're three,
We
maybe,
can't do indefinite.
I don't know where 3, I didn't say we could, I'm just saying what the form said. It had nothing to do with 3 years.
Where'd the form generate from?
And this is from the Wolfboro Snowmobile Club.
Oh,
It
that's
says
their,
snowmobile trail permission.
that's their form, so
Yes.
it's not something we created.
No. You want to get back to them and have them add Langs Pond Road on there, please?
Yeah, and limit their
And a 3-year option?
application.
And
to
a
3
3-year
years.
option, please.
Yeah, it's just because we can't really obligate a future board.
I understand. Even though previous boards have done that to us. All right. That being the case, we have Dennis here from the library to present his library budget. A little ahead of schedule, but what the heck, let's roll.
Okay. How are ya?
Good.
Doing well, thank you.
Well, looking at this,
Your 2023 budget was $228,459, and your budget request for 2024 is $237,075. That's just under
Yeah, it wasn't, your figures might be a little
$9,000,
bit
excuse me.
different.
I went the wrong way.
Yeah.
A little under $9,000.
Yes, okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm looking at the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, salaries, it's just COLA. The trustees approved a merit increase for staff. Evaluations were done. I elected not to receive a merit increase. I was happy with just the cost of living. I'm at a higher pay grade, so it's fine. I don't. So
Okay.
So you use the same COLA that we,
I used the same COLA, the 3% for everybody, but I put in merit. They put in merit increases for their staff, but I opted not to. And then other than that, operating costs, we increased cleaning costs to match the same hourly rate that you're paying the cleaning person, because we're behind a little bit from what you were doing, so.
Does, is it the same person that takes care of
It
that?
is the same,
Oh,
yeah.
great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I just raised it so we're on the same level. And other than that, we put back in $500 for programs. It was typical that we requested $1,500 per year for many years. Last year we dropped it to $1,000, just kind of to offset some of the other increases, but. I think it's better to keep it where it was. That's what the friends contribute, so. But that's it, everything else is the same.
looks like you're running a pretty tight ship to me.
I tried to.
We haven't seen you very often or at all this year. Maybe quarterly you ought to drop by, just to let us know you're still
I
alive.
have to meet with the select, you meet on Mondays. Mondays
Yeah.
is challenging for me.
Are they really?
Well, we're closed, the library's closed, I don't live in town anymore.
Uh,
Unfortunately, the place that we were in had structural issues and we had to
oh, Lord.
relocate it. So Mondays are harder. But I want to meet with the trustees because they should be more present
Yeah.
too. So
Well, we like to see your smiling face whenever we can.
I'm sorry.
so the, one question that I'm sure the budget committee is gonna ask is
Uh-huh.
the actual expenses for 2023
Yeah.
are what?
They're gonna wanna see that. Even if it's just a year to date, they're gonna wanna see it.
Oh, right. They should have that. Marcia submits all of the financial reports monthly. So she should
You'll
have.
have to look for it.
You should have.
Excuse
Do
me,
you-
Tammy, are you getting an email from Marcia?
For,
For the
Did she
library?
send you?
Okay, so she thought you were getting it. I did meet with Marcia on Friday and, so I'll
Yeah.
just ask, she did send it to me, but,
All right.
I'll make sure she does that from now
All
on.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
cause she.
Yeah, Marcia as treasurer should send both of you the financial reports. And then Paul as secretary should be sending both of you his minutes. Does he do that?
No, I
No.
don't think he has to.
Okay. I mean, I post them on the website because he
Yeah,
sent
so I don't
some to
think he
me,
has to
but
send them to us, but.
I mean, they're all on our website, but.
I mean,
All right, I thought Marcia was sending you
Year to
financial
date.
reports every month, because that has.
we have in our budget report.
The library's a little bit of a different entity.
Yeah,
It is totally different than it.
I don't see a lot of that. I mean, I get the invoices, but I just stamp them and date them and give them to Marcia, so I don't.
All we have is salaries and overall budget, not a breakdown of the
Right.
budget.
Right, Marcia does.
Which
Marcia
really-
does.
The overall budget isn't part of our purview anyways.
Right.
No, but I mean, it's still available if you wanna see it. Actually, I can give that to you right now, because I have Marcia's report. This is the report that she sent out. You can keep that, because I have that a lot, so.
You guys see that every month. That is the
Is
one
that
she
the
sends me.
report that Marcia
Yep.
So
sends?
you
Right.
do
Yep.
get, you do get it?
I
That's
print it
the
out
year,
every time and
yeah,
they
we
see
get
it
it every
every,
Okay.
every
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that has for each line item the percentage that we're at. I think we're at like 70%, right where we should be.
75
Yeah, so that's,
as of the,
Well, that's what we have paid them.
At the end
We
of-
pay quarterly,
right.
but the report that Bob's looking at has the details.
Monthly breakdown, yeah.
Right.
Because at the end of the audit, if they have not spent everything, then the auditors determine how much they would pay back to the town.
Right. Yep. Like last year, we took 15,000 off
Right.
because we had underexpend.
so where the 15 grand come back? came
We
back?
just didn't get it. It didn't come back.
Oh, I
We
see.
just didn't. We
Yeah.
took 15 off.
Right,
And I think the year before we didn't get the fourth quarter check either for the same.
And then, you know.
Yeah, so, but we didn't. Yeah. And some of the things on there too, because we have like anticipated revenue, like the line for equipment, it says we spent like 1,000 something percent. But that's because our budget was only $150 and the friends gave us all this money to purchase artwork and all of this stuff for the.
Nice to have friends.
I know, they're like, yeah, it's even, right. Have you seen the mural that they did?
No, I haven't.
They, for the meeting room next to me back there, they did a beautiful mural of the town. They hired a muralist, and she went out, they'd give her a tour of the town, and she took pictures of all the town buildings. So she did a big mural on the wall. They got input from the school, like the kids, what they thought Top to Mural meant to them.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be in there seeing it. We one meeting before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
good, that's
so
excellent stuff. That's the kind of thing
It
we like to
looks-
hear about.
it looks really nice. So, and then they were like, "We need some artwork." I'm like, "I don't want to decorate, but they gave me money, so I did." So we have maps hanging up all through the library, like local maps, vintage maps, maps from literature.
Very nice.
That's pretty cool. So yes, we are
so
fortunate to have good friends.
on this sheet, Audrey, where it's showing 14,625 in the negative for 2023, that's the underspent 2022 budget.
Yeah, so my question to the selectmen, which I was gonna bring up before Tim is finished. If you look at his 2023 proposed budget, the total operating budget for library was 66,000, and that's what was put into the town's budget system. And if I was to use the same rationale, I would assume that the budget request for 2024 was 72,000. However, when Dennis and I spoke, he said that the anticipated revenues that the library anticipates should not be included, so the
Because that's not our town request. That's
So
That's
I'm
revenue
thinking the
change.
2023 budget should actually read 51,838.
52,858.
that's for this year. Last year should
Yeah.
be
51,838.
Oh, I see, for last year, it should
Yeah.
be 51,800.
Instead
Yeah.
of the 66, so I didn't know if you all had any insight into why that higher amount was put in. Because we're paying the library against the 66.
No, we looked at that too. We determined that we were getting it off the correct amount. Our quarterly
Okay.
check was the correct amount.
All right,
Yeah, that we weren't getting more than we were. The RSA requires us to report all of our anticipated revenue
Right.
based on past gifts and donations. That doesn't mean we're gonna get it. Sometimes we get more, sometimes we
Yeah,
get
We have
less.
the same deal.
Yeah, but sometimes that amount goes in as like what we're requesting.
Right.
But it's not what we're asking for the town, it's just our.
Yeah.
So there have been years, like in that instance, where that amount is compared to the year before that didn't have our anticipated revenue,
Mhm.
so.
So you're saying that in your budget request?
Right, so if you look at the budget to actual that I gave you, the most recent one,
Mhm.
the prior bookkeeper had put library budget of 66,463,
Mhm.
and then in parentheses is the 16,170, the anticipated revenue. So that means, that amount would be available, because it's in the town operating budget, then it would be available for the selectmen to use somewhere else.
Doesn't, their revenue doesn't go into the general fund?
No, they're their own thing.
We have to keep ours separate.
Yeah, you really gotta read up on library law, it's
It's,
quite,
They have their own RSAs.
yes. And the budget committee should do that too, because then they might understand some of this. Gordon went through this over and over again.
well, even like coming here to your meetings, I have to be careful about what I present to you that I haven't already, because I can't present anything to the, make anything public knowledge that the trustees are not aware of, and
Right.
that they haven't approved, so it's hard for me to.
Again, library law.
And I can't speak for the trustees.
Right.
It's, yeah,
You're
like
fine.
even the budget, like the trustees are so, yeah,
Mhm.
they can consult with me, but it's.
So on your 5-year analysis,
So in the last column, I think it's showing a 66, that's what she's
66,
done.
63.
That line should say 51,838. No,
That's your request,
that was our request in 2023, not, yeah.
23. So your request,
In 24 is 52,858.
52,858. And what changed, did you say?
So it was 1,020, 520 was the cleaning costs,
Okay,
and I listed it on, it's on the front of that detail page if you need to reference it. But 120 was to increase the salary for the cleaning
okay.
to match what you pay,
I see it now.
and then 500 programs, because we always put, every year was always the same, 1,500, 1,500. Last year we did 1,000 just to kind of offset some of the other increases, but
It took that lengthy explanation, but I
it's it is kind of a,
Detail.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes we get more in anticipated revenue, sometimes we get less, it's,
I will move the library's budget of $237,075 as presented.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Further discussion?
So just so I'm clear, the $18,000 you're asking for, or the $18,000 you're asking for election development
the 18, yeah,
is, the way you're factoring it this year is you're getting 18 plus the 14 you're gonna, or
That's 12, yeah.
16.
correct, yes. Because we get, like, for instance, one of the foundations, we get money from every year, gives us 5,000, and they specify specifically for children's collection. So that pays for like all of our children's stuff. Some of that is the Friends of the Library pay for all of our museum passes, and they do this program where they buy a book, a picture book in honor of every child born in town for that year. So that's part of that too. So some of it's money that people give us that's
Right.
specified to use on certain things.
All right, motion was made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a great day, Dennis. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
That's the plan.
I will try to give it more
It's okay.
On the order, okay?
info, I'll try to get the trustees to come in too. 'Cause
We don't care what time.
is this recording then? Can I have it?
We're on television too.
Yeah, you're on video too, so they can watch it.
Great. Yeah,
Bye, Dennis.
All right, next on our agenda, when we're ahead of schedule, would be our monthly report from the fire station,
And he's on his way.
and he's on his way. So, there are no action items today.
Nope.
There's correspondence. We have a note here from Lisa Beveridge. Says, I'm planning Ice Fest for February 3rd, 2024. Would you please add this to the next meeting? I want to be ahead of the game for this year. Hoping for 40 and sunny. She has to get a permit from us to run that.
Yes, she knows.
And I'm explaining to Bob,
Oh, sorry.
because he might not know. So are we in favor of granting that permit? I'd make a motion to grant Lisa Beveridge the permit for Ice Fest on February 4th, 2024.
So she's not gonna come in and see us?
I'll second for discussion.
I don't, do we need to have her come in and see us? Have we had problems? Is there
The only
an issue?
problem that I remember having is the insurance certificate.
Okay,
No.
You need to- and
I've gotten
was-
that every year.
That was a while ago,
Oh,
that there was an issue.
before BC.
Yeah, BC, before Cannon. So, I mean, as long as she's aware of the conditions, I'm happy to vote on your motion.
let's make her aware of the conditions again, please, Cammy. Provided that, all right, can we amend the motion?
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, amend the motion to include the deliverance of an insurance certificate before the date. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. So. All right, we have one from the NRRA, which is recycling. They're telling us that the cost to recycle glass will be a $5 per ton increase from $40 a ton to $45 a ton. They felt that they should tell us as soon as possible as we enter the budget season. Well, we can continue this
You're up, Chief.
shortly. We've got the fire chief. Thompson, come on down.
Can't even catch your breath.
Well,
It's going fairly well, so we'll keep it rolling.
Yeah.
A little bit. Don't worry, something will mess it up.
No doubt.
Thanks.
No doubt. Thank you.
So as of today, we had 159 fire calls, 211 EMS calls, 101 for service calls, and 12 special details for a total of 483. Gas furnace inspections 57, oil burner inspections 5, wood pellet stove inspections 7, life safety 37 for a total of 106. You can see that we're slightly ahead of last year's numbers on both categories as far as that goes. The following is an update for larger calls from day to day. 9/27/23, 12:38 p.m. Smoke investigation on Cow Island. Unauthorized burning. Boat 1 with 3 personnel responding. 2/28/23. 07/28 a.m. a lost boater on Lake Winnipesaukee due to fog and weather conditions. Boat 1, 3 personnel along with Moultonborough and Marine Patrol responded to the incident.
can I ask you a question about
Sure,
that?
sir.
Number one, how'd you find him?
As far as they had GPS coordinates,
Okay.
it was so foggy that you could barely see as far as traveling wise. But however, our boat has navigation on it so that the personnel are trained to be able to use the navigation and go from buoy to buoy.
So he knew where he was, he just didn't know.
He
he
couldn't get,
Let's get to where we want to go.
Around, because he didn't have
If you-
navigation.
he was
Gotcha.
lost. He was actually in a kayak type of thing. So wherever he ended up, he stayed and was totally lost. Do you have any further questions?
No,
with that?
good, thank you.
10/1, 12:32 p.m. assisted with a hazmat incident, mutual aid to Cottage Road and Osby Corner, Utility 2 and Car 1 responded with 4 personnel with the Carroll County hazmat spill equipment. 10/2/23, 04:43 a.m., water problem at 180 Ball Peak Drive. Water flowing down through 3 floors of the building. Rescue 1, Utility 2, and Ambulance 1 responded with 6 personnel. 10/3/23, 09:33, reported building fire, ended up being a furnace issue and we were canceled, and that was in Paradise Drive in Moultonborough. Engine 2, Engine 1 with 4 personnel. 10/22/23, 7:16 p.m. motor vehicle accident, vehicle into the woods and New Road and Sodom Road, a different area for now. Engine 1, Rescue 1, Ambulance 1, and Utility 1 responded with a crew of 8. There was the same night of our training, as far as that goes, on a Thursday night. There was 1 sign-off obtained at the scene, and Rescue 1 remained with personnel and until the vehicle was removed by the tow company and other personnel were able to go back to training. The new Car 1 has been placed in service 10/18/23, and personnel are going through the training on its operation. Vehicle. The vehicle has been placed on Primex Insurance. The old Car 1 sale was completed on 10/18/23 for the $7,500 that was agreed upon. And Effingham Fire Department took delivery of that on the same day. And all the paperwork has been completed. The check has been turned into the town, and the vehicle has been removed from the Primex Insurance. So that is taken care of. Engine 4 is back from its engine repair. Its final cost at Power Product System LLC, DBA New England Detroit Diesel, was $7,557.90. The additional cost was due to an EGR valve that needed to be replaced. This was $3,750.94. The difference from the original estimate. There may be a future part due to an intermittent turbo actuator issue that needs to be replaced, but with the estimate of $2,000, the company advised to hold off on repair and to see if the issue works itself out, and if it's just a computer issue affecting its operation. The truck is back. We've used it for trainings. We've had it out on a call as far as it goes, and besides that fluctuation that they were talking about, which the truck is due for pump testing on the 24th, which is tomorrow, and we'll make sure that it makes it through that without any issues, because that's a strain on the truck. If anything doesn't go wrong, it'll go wrong with that. Moultonborough's engine has been given back. We thank them very much for the use of that, and engine 4 is back at Mirror Lake. So as far as, I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at the bill that I had sent a copy of and the explanation as far as, so they basically took responsibility for it, but didn't take responsibility for it. They gave us a significant reduction in labor, and all of that. The parts were at cost, as far as with the company, and they removed a 7% labor cost charge on top of that, that normally would be there. So the actual, there is no warranty on that. There's not going to be any more metal that came out as far as that goes, but there is a warranty on the new parts that they obviously put in, unless metal comes from somewhere and ruins those parts as it did before.
Are you happy with?
I am happy with its operation currently as far as it goes, and they seem to have somewhat stood behind it without taking responsibility that, I don't know what you wanna call it as far as a dirty build or rebuild as far as the engine wise, of where that aluminum actually
I know
came
it's been
from.
I know it's been a long process, but you're happy with the company and the service that
Yes.
they've given you?
Yes, they seem to have stepped up and tried to do whatever they could to take care of that, so. All the Class A apparatus, which is the larger engines, have been through the state inspections. Any future repairs that didn't affect state inspections have been included in the 2024 budget repair item line. Ambulance 1 needed brake replacement and yearly maintenance, New Hampshire State inspection, and a right rear liquid spring strut assembly replaced. Total on that was $3,115.88. Engine 1, service maintenance state inspection was $1,546.78. That was completed at Eastern Fire Apparatus and Crowds Towing for the inspection. Engine 2 yearly service maintenance and inspection was $1,337.44. Eastern Fire Apparatus and Crowds Garage for the inspection. Engine 4 state inspection and repairs needed to meet state inspection. It needed steering shaft U-joints and front axle wheel bearings needed to be retorqued. That was $633.84 at Lake Region Fire Apparatus. Rescue 1's yearly maintenance and state inspection at Lake Region Fire was $411.19. Utility 1, Lake Region Fire, $60 for the state inspection. The new furnace.
These all these repairs here, do you know if these have been, Audrey just walked out, but she could probably answer that.
Have they been taken from
Have
the
they
budget?
been taken from the budget?
I have turned in all the bills that I had received and that I have talked about.
Because according to this, you have $3,900 left in your maintenance budget.
Well, we're doing well.
So I'm
I
wondering.
didn't expect to see that.
That's why I'm wondering if it's before or after these amounts.
Right. I believe that it's after.
I believe it is too, because she just printed that today.
I haven't seen the most up-to-date printout for that, but obviously the engine repairs was far less than I was expecting. I was expecting that we would be way upside down with that. But the ambulance was a lot more than I had expected as far as brakes and that strut.
Yeah, he's got $7,000 worth of expenses this month.
Yeah,
And
So
the
that would be those.
Yeah. So that's-
Audrey, quick question on the fire department's maintenance budget. They have $3,900 left in their vehicle maintenance line. Right here under the under fire.
Okay, vehicle maintenance, yep.
Is that $3,900 after this list of repairs?
Everything we've received is in,
Okay.
unless he snuck something in today.
Okay. Thank you.
Looking good.
Okay, so far.
Mm-hmm.
The new furnace has been installed and completed at Mirror Lake Station. It's running fine, like Butler's Heating and Cooling. Central Station had a circulator pump issue on both the Central Station boilers. They both have been replaced by Brookside Plumbing and Heating and are back up and running 100%. Cost was $3,924.89.
I thought you had an agreement with E&E to do all your HVAC service.
They do they will do as far as service, as far as the furnace and all of that stuff. However, on emergency repairs, they're not as, sometimes they're not available or quick to come out and take care of that. And Brookside has been very good about coming out and taking care of it within whatever period of time. We go back and forth between both of them, but as far as servicing the air units and all of that stuff, we have a contract with them. They take care of all that. Brookside doesn't do anything with that.
Okay.
But if the circulators fail and stuff like that, sometimes they don't get up there so quickly.
Right, you gotta, it's not getting any warmer either.
Right, to take care of it. We try to keep some parts in stock, but it's hard to keep
Can't keep
the
everything.
circulators and stuff like that, and they're expensive. The emergency generator at the Melvin Station is now up and running. So that's all set, the propane's all in, and it's been started by Scott Thompson and all situated. I'm working on the performance evaluations for the 2 full-time employees. I have those completed. I would assume that they go to Audrey,
Yes, please.
and then they come to you. We heard from FEMA this morning, 10/23/23, and working on setting up a time next week for a 15-minute call, which will be on Wednesday. And the following week, there's going to be a meeting on November 1st at the Central Station at 10 o'clock to go over whatever is needed. And Jim Beam, myself, and whoever needs to be there will be there to meet with FEMA to see what money we can get back from the 7/9 to 7/17 disaster declaration. So hopefully it'll be good news and get whatever back from the 60, I think it was probably $60,000 approximately that we were looking at.
What date is that, Chief?
It's going to be for November 1st.
Okay.
It's on Wednesday and 10 a.m. at the Central Station. And the 15-minute call for this Wednesday, I don't think anyone really needs to be there. I have the information that needs to be for that. Still working with Stewart's Ambulance in reference to the Mirror Lake Station. They sent an email out looking to see if we were still interested in, they're still interested in utilizing the station. We had some questions that we're still waiting to hear back from the fire marshal's office as far as the building wise. Once we get those answers, we can come to you and give you further information before talking to them further. And the Pier 19 Association confirmed that they were still willing to work with the fire department to allow Boat 1 to be docked at the dock while the wharf project is being completed, if that's something that comes up before the boat comes out.
Yeah, when do you normally take that out? Do you have a specific date or?
We usually wait until it's so cold that, stuff starts freezing in as far as it goes.
Yeah.
And then it goes into if we have room, it goes into the Central Station for a short period of time. We try to do some light maintenance to it, and then it goes to storage at Melvin Marine or at one of their big storage areas in Moultonboro.
Very good.
So there's not a set time period, but when the weather
Watch
turns,
the weather.
then that's
You don't wanna have to break ice.
No.
Great.
So, and then obviously we start using the airboat after.
Sure. Excellent.
Very good.
Do you have any other questions as far as?
No, Audrey, you got my email today about the consolidated agreement?
I did, so I just
I know,
haven't forwarded
it's
it
too quick
yet.
to do it today, I know.
Yeah,
But
I
just
have
wanna
to
make
make sure you have mine, because right now that's Kathy's that you emailed to, so,
Oh,
I don't know, I
Sorry.
jumped into hers, so,
I can resend it to you.
I've got it now.
You got it.
Yeah.
So we opened the bids on the Pier 19
Okay.
today. We're gonna award it probably next Monday.
Monday, 1 o'clock.
And our engineer is saying there's a good shot that it might be done this winter or
Really?
this fall.
Nice.
Because we gotta spend the grant before July of next year,
Okay.
so
We'll
we
definitely
may not
let you
have to
know.
worry about the boat somewhere else. We
Right.
have it done.
Well, that would be great if we don't have to, but It's there if need to be, so, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
So,
Real nice of them.
now, everything as far as that you had planned for the pier, the wharf area is a go as far as we have the money to meet the expectations.
Seems that way.
It seems like we do.
Yep.
We can verify all that before Monday. You might wanna, I don't know how, do you use the pier when you launch your ice, your airboat?
We do use that area where the boat launch is, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have to look at that when
Yep.
if the project starts earlier.
And one thing that I meant to mention as far as, because in the past, but I've forgot every time that I came in to talk with you, I would be really cautious about shutting down where people go in on the ice over by the beach, because then people are going to be looking for another means as far as trying to get onto the ice, which this side of the lake isn't a lot. Whether they try to get into 20 Mile Bay and drive off the road there or something like that. If we can keep that open and make whatever changes to that area there, I think it would be probably really good. And that is another area, if we can't get in to the area up by the wharf, we go in that way.
Right.
While we're speaking of that ramp, Candy, can you reach out to Jim Rhines and have us see where he's at on coming up with a solution to fix that ramp? We had him in here probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Everybody set?
I think so.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for yours. All right. We're a bit ahead of schedule. I saw our transfer station superintendent. I don't know if he's ready or not to present. He really has- Excuse me?
Someone's photocopying.
It's probably him.
It's probably him. All right, we had no action items, correspondence. We were in the middle of, I'll keep going until he shows up. All right, I had gone through all the emails. We have 2 standard dredge and fill wetlands permit applications. If you guys want to look at them, they've been through the Conservation Commission, they've been given to the town clerk. That ends correspondence.
Does it?
That's all there was in there, except we already did 3 of them.
Did you do the explanation from HEB?
No, I didn't, thank you. And I didn't do the Board of Adjustment either. The
Okay,
Board of
perfect,
Adjustment
that's it.
is going to have a meeting on November 1st to discuss the request from the Bachelor Family Trust for a variance to build a carport, which is going to be within the setbacks of the state highway. We have an explanation from HEB, detailed explanation of why it would cost $839,412 to work on the Canyon Road. It's quite detailed, and Chris Fournier has agreed to come in and explain more to us if we need it. There's a lot of detail in that, actually. When it comes to the numbers. It looks to me like by the time that's done, it'll be the best road in town.
Best road, probably least traveled.
Well, it gets a lot of traffic in the summertime, Vista and Camp Sentinel will be in this.
This is true.
But it's not everyday traffic.
No throughway.
Yet.
Can't get there from here.
So we're putting in a bridge.
That's what it says. I was amazed at the extent of the work that you're talking about doing, actually.
So we should have Chris come in.
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea and go through that in a little more, with explanations. There's detail as far as numbers goes, but I think we need to have a little more explanation and how much of it is totally necessary, possibly. If they assume it is, or they wouldn't even put it there, but we may have differences of opinion.
He's set to come in at 10 o'clock on the 6th.
Chris Forney is coming in at 10 o'clock on the 6th there, general public, to talk about this with us.
I set it up just because I knew that wouldn't be enough.
10 o'clock on the 6th.
That's our 9 o'clock meeting day.
That's a Monday.
That's the first Monday. It's usually.
Oh, I thought
No.
Chris, yeah.
The 13th is the 9 o'clock meeting
Right.
day.
Mhm.
Don't scare me, because I can't make a morning meeting on the 6th.
Okay. It could be the 13th. I could have my Mondays mixed up.
Okay, I hope you do.
You can always reschedule it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the 13th, how's that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot make a morning meeting on the 6th.
All right. That completes correspondence. Next up, we should have our transfer station superintendent. There he is.
Yeah.
Must be a heat wave up here, he's wearing short pants.
Short pants for a snowstorm.
10:30 on the
Okay.
All right, that sounds better.
Just smashed my elbow in the door. Really cried.
I don't know, they call it a funny bone. There's
Oh, it's
nothing funny about it.
Not one thing.
It's only funny when it happens to somebody else.
So, the first page is going to show you that we're $1,491.93 off the base on our CD, which clear off my throat again. But if you look at the second page of the presentation, they don't feel quite as horrible because we're overall construction is 4,590 ahead, and we're $11,078 ahead where we were last year overall. So we're on pace. If we keep on pace right now, I'm looking at probably somewhere around 100,000 going back into the general fund this year. That's a loose prediction. So,
Looks promising.
I think I can keep up the pace. But there's about a little over probably 10,000 pounds of aluminum on the deck right now, which we're trying to get shipped out. I've got 46,000 pounds of plywood on the deck. Trying to make arrangements to get shipped out. I've got about 4,000 pounds of lead acid batteries on the deck. Make arrangements to get shipped out. And then just odds and ends, recyclables, aluminum, wire, etc. that just needs to get picked up. So,
How do you know you have 4,000 pounds of such and such?
because I weigh it,
Just,
on the scale that we have up there. We have a small floor scale that we weigh small items with, which we we're able to use. We weigh our bales on, we weigh the small items on, and until that craps out on us, we're able to
Okay.
continue to use it. So, page 3 on the presentation, do you have any questions?
On that, I don't have anything, but I do have something here. Who determined that that term right there was applied?
The person who did that,
The cleanup?
yeah, he
Okay,
told me that's what it was.
all right.
He said
That's
that,
the only question I have about that.
he said that he talked to somebody here, and that was the discussion that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And I took him for his word.
You talked to somebody at this office?
Yeah, he said that he had a discussion, and that was that, and I took him for his word.
That's all you know about it, that's fine.
So,
We'll deal with that.
so I
Thank you.
guess, you know, whether he did or didn't, I don't know.
Right.
I just took him
I
for his
don't know who it would
word.
have been. Doesn't matter at this point.
Yep.
We found out what we needed to know.
So that was, I just left it at that.
Yep. Seems like waste oil is a real moneymaker.
Yeah, that's,
Can you remind me again why we're charging $1 a quart and $5 a gallon?
I think we're charging $2 a quart. I don't have the matrix in front of me. I thought it was $2 a quart, I don't, but maybe I'm wrong.
People seem to think that it's $1 a quart and $5 a gallon. If you could just clear that up, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't have the sheet in front of me. However, it's nowhere near enough. However, we can't charge more because we'll just never be able to make up the difference of what it costs to get rid of it. And people will just never pay the money to get rid of it. I mean, some people get $1 for $5 per gallon.
Now it says 1 and 5.
Yeah. So,
Why is,
yeah, so,
let's fix that.
yeah, and I'll have to go back in my notes and find out why that is. But we made $535 in 15 months. And
Made or just recouped?
recouped $535. Since we put that billing into effect, I think it was January of '22, maybe it was when we voted on,
Right.
when you guys voted on that.
Right.
And since then, we've received about $535. So we never recoup what we,
So we're still not covering our expense.
no, nowhere close, because it's just tripling in cost. Almost yearly, not even yearly. I mean, it's gone from when I first came here, it was like $375 to have that 330 gallon tank pumped. And now it's nearing $3,000.
Yeah.
And I put in for a grant and have not received it, which the grant would offset any costs that we didn't cover. And we didn't receive the grant yet. I'm sure everybody in the state is putting in for the grant, so it's a hit or miss. And I encourage anybody who comes, take it to Walmart, take it to Napa, take it, because they're obligated to take it for free if they sell it. But people don't want to be bothered. They don't want to pay. So,
I'll have to pay one way or the
yeah,
other.
I mean, and I try to explain to them that it costs us, you know, to get rid of it. So it can't be, you know, it just can't be a freebie anymore. It's like the other things that we have to pay for to get rid of.
And how many gallons a year are we doing there?
Well, it's we filled the tank. I mean, it depends on really how much, I mean, obviously it depends on how much comes in, but we filled that tank, you know, in 15 months, 330 gallons, but if you charge, you know, if you don't charge, it'll fill up a heck of a lot quicker, because,
Yeah, no, I was just trying to break even. You know, if you fill it in 15 months, then you're getting about 20 gallons a month. So,
Maybe take a look at that again, the fee structure, and see what other towns around us are charging for their oil.
you know, well, the towns don't take it anymore, but I can, yeah, check around and see the towns that do take it, I'll check and see.
Yeah.
so how much does it cost to get rid of that?
I'll have to check again.
What was it the last time?
My most recent was, well, the most recent was, the place in Massachusetts,
But do you remember the cost number?
it's, Clean Harbors, $15.75 was their drop dead price, but then if they test it and anything comes back hot, which it always does, it goes up from there, and it can, you know, be as high as 3,000. And that was the last time we had it pumped, and it's going up from there. So I have not had a recent price, but I know it's more than
Well, even at that price, it's $4.70 a gallon
To get rid of it.
to get rid of it. So $5 a gallon. is
$5 a
not-
gallon to get rid of
And I
it?
think that's why we set the price.
Yeah.
I think that's why
You had
we set
your
the
oil
price.
change lately, Bob?
Yeah, but,
They charge you for that stuff.
wow.
You know, it cost me $150 at my change.
I won't tell you what it costs that much.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's cost us $5, we gotta pay $5. I don't have any problem with that. $1.25 a quarter, $5 a gallon.
I'll start that inquiry on that, pumping that out again, but, you know, it's going up from $15.75.
And the other thing is that we are now in the chain of custody.
Mhm.
As soon as we take it, we're in the chain of custody.
We're responsible
So
for it.
when XYZ disposal company goes bust and becomes a surplus site, we're a part of that. We gotta pay the fine. The customer who dropped it off at our facility is not in the chain of
Right.
custody.
But, and every time they pick it up, we have to sign it to the claim that says there's no dangerous materials in that well.
And how do we guarantee that?
Exactly, we can't.
No, you can't.
Do we get a waste oil burner?
We can't do that, because we can't guarantee that there's no,
Yeah, and what do you do with the stuff that's no
we
good?
can't guarantee there's no,
Then
Yeah,
you
if
Then
you
the
have
ash,
to
you
say
get,
it's no
the
good.
heavy metals settle out in the
Yeah.
ash.
you have to get a scrubber. If you're gonna burn it, you get to scrub it before you burn it.
Or you stop taking waste oil. I mean, if it becomes too onerous.
You might know more about that than I do, but I know everything I've heard, you have to scrub it because it's got oil, it's got ink.
There are oil purifier devices, there's several different companies that make them, we use them a lot in the Navy. We didn't throw away oil, we purified it and used it again, but you could do that, it'll get rid of, depending on what you wanna get rid of too, they're very specific about the things they'll get rid of, so you might actually have to have two instead of one. And that gets complicated. The other thing is if you had, do you have petcocks on the side of that tank?
No.
Okay. If you had a
Drain
pet,
off the
you could drain off the water, but that's about all you could do. The heavy stuff would go to the bottom, and the guy pumping it out, to avoid that, would probably just not go as deep into the tank, but you never know what's gonna happen with that. This is a real sticky wicket here.
I know that when we had training for the waste oil, they said there's short videos of burners and if there's gasoline and or any, bad liquid in the oil, you put it in the burner, there's short pictures of back of buildings blown off.
It's also carcinogenic, so there's a lot to it. It's hazardous waste, truly. We'll have to give that some consideration, I guess. Whether we want to do that today or not, I don't know.
No, I think we should wait for a recommendation, not only on pricing, maybe dig it into that a little bit deeper and see what our liabilities are. Present a recommendation to us and make a decision from there.
Try to look into present and bring back all kinds of fine information for the November meeting.
It shouldn't be too difficult to find.
No, I'll call down to Clean Harbors and see if I can get them to give me some information. They never very forthcoming, but we have a monopoly now, so hopefully they'll give me some information.
All right.
So this next page is just the numbers that we stand on for use date. And it just shows you that we're down on container numbers, but we're up on tonnage, which just means that the guys have been doing a good job on packing the heck out of the containers. But with that being said, the containers are going out very heavy. So as you can see that we're, several tons heavier in all the categories.
And your, remind me, your aluminum's going out when?
Well, probably, it's probably not going to get out this month, but it will definitely go out in November.
So before the first of the year.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. So it'll probably ship out for the holiday. First 2 weeks of November, we probably won't get a check until the first week of December, but we'll have it. You'll have a report on that before the first of the year, so we'll have it in this, just in the report. And, oops,
How's your budget coming?
good.
You have your employee reviews done?
Well, I'm working on those. I have them. When do you want them in November?
When you present your budget.
Calendar
I
somewhere?
don't know what's coming to you. Judy had sent
Be
me.
nice to have them ahead of time.
Yeah, she had given me.
Yeah,
an email.
I don't remember.
The third, November 13th, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
12/11?
I just gotta find it.
At the bottom.
Solid waste. Board of Selectmen, 12/11.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have it due to Audrey, 11/16.
Yeah, I can have them in a couple weeks. Yeah.
Anything else for Chris?
I have just a couple notifications so you can be aware of this before my budget comes in. NRA is going up $5 per ton.
We got that email.
You did,
Yes, we
okay?
did.
Also, just a reminder, Waste Management, our contract this year is going up. This is the last year of the 5-year contract. It's going up 3% again. So going up to, I want to say, we didn't bring the email with me, but I want to say it's 146 per haul, 89 a ton this year. That's on top of the 5% last year for the surcharge. So this last year, that was,
So the 5% that we gave them last year
right, that
was
was,
a request
that was us.
for a year. So is it 3% from the original amount, or 3% plus 5%, which is 8%?
Okay, but continue that 5%.
Yeah, right, there's two questions there.
Right, they're continuing, as far as I know,
No, we only gave it to them for a year,
that was,
the 5%.
okay, so that 3% is contract.
Okay,
So that's, then
so it's actually gonna go down 2%?
well, possibly if that was not agreed upon at 5%.
I'll dig out, or I'll have Cammy dig out the letters, but it was for only a
It was
year.
5% for 1 year.
Just, it was a one-off, right?
Yeah, it was to take care of this, transition, COVID, inflation, all that other crazy
Fantastic.
stuff.
Well, I told Peter Shaw to give me a copy of all the paper he had, and he's also going to give me a new proposal for a renewal for contracts that I can bring in for you guys to look at, and then make an appointment for you guys to meet with him to discuss a proposed new contract. This is last year's contract with Waste Management. So he's going to have to, because that's the contract you get.
So this is the last year of our 3-year agreement,
Correct.
so we need to put it out on the street too.
Yeah.
Because maybe Casella wants it, or somebody else wants it.
Right. So,
Did you have waste management prior to this 3 years?
I'm sorry?
Did you have waste management last time, or is this your first time with them?
No, we've had them for quite a while.
and also requested that he put together a proposal for lease rental on a third compactor for the down below, rather than an actual purchase of a compactor from like Atlantic. It's like one of those, something like that for, instead of doing like a,
So that was last year's warrant.
yeah, instead of doing a supplemental article for purchase, I knew it, just to kind of throw it out there and see what it would cost. Just to kind of have it out there and see what it looked like. And also, we are going to, I looked at the CIP, did you get that information? You talked about that?
I haven't seen them since.
Okay, so I presented my information to the CIP on last Thursday night, and got all that information. So, some of it was received well, some of it was received kind of interesting, but they haven't nonetheless. So, we'll give you all that information. I don't know if you want that folder or.
No, CIP's, I've got everything that you gave me right here. CIP's gonna make their presentation to us, and we're gonna be talking to CIP soon too. I think CIP's gonna be looking for some recommendation for warrant articles, this week from the selectmen.
Have they written to us?
It's only October.
Just repeating what Jill said at the meeting last week, that's all.
I didn't give you that whole.
Just saying, shoot the messenger.
I can clean that notebook up, take out my notes and just give you that whole notebook I had there. You guys want that?
Yeah.
It might be helpful to you. But other than that, that's it.
Can I get back to the waste management contract?
Sure.
Something that I've done in the past up at the county is a negotiating tool, is offered to have the representative give us a new proposal for a contract that's unchanged in terms in exchange for it not going out to bid. If they want our business bad enough and they keep the terms and keep our pricing, if they keep our pricing for the same 3 years that they just gave us going forward for another 3 years, we don't put it out to bid. Is that something that the other two selectmen would entertain?
That's the persevered, Bob. I think it.
It can be-
I'm comfortable with the numbers that we got from them originally, but I don't know how you could be comfortable with them. I mean, so.
I wasn't here for the initiation of it.
Right. So,
But if that bid was won, and the argument that I use is if the bid was won under a competitive bid originally, and you've established a working relationship with a vendor, that seems to be working both ways, there's no reason to throw it out other than price. If they can keep the price and keep the terms, it seems to be a win-win for both parties. Just throwing that out for discussion.
yeah, I think we'd have a hard time not having some increase on year to year. Because I think the last contract allows for an increase on an annualized basis. So, yeah, I guess I'd have to think about it.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Does the procurement policy allow it? That was my note, to check the procurement policy, because I do know that other towns have done that exact same thing.
Yeah.
But it's usually only
Just
for one recurrence.
takes market forces out of the equation, which may not be good. Carol, help you need?
No, so I have two more contracts. I'm waiting for proposals to come back in on so I can present them to you. LRPC is going to be sending their renewal, so I can present that, as well as Sandtech. Sandtech, this is the last year of their 3-year contract. So they were, hopefully I was going to get the renewal contract today, but I didn't get it, so I'll have to wait until the next meeting, or maybe I'll get it and I can present it before this meeting. But they're sending me a renewal, or excuse me, an updated request for the next 3-year cycle. So I'll get back to you as soon as I get it. I'm sure that's going to go up a small percentage.
Was that 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Because that went out to bid. I mean, there was a bunch of bidders on it. There were-
Well, this is another thing, again, we look at what they're giving us, what they're willing to give us, what they're gonna do. It's can be the same kind of deal with management, see what's going on.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of on another note, as far as Sandtech is concerned, and as far as the landfill closure is concerned, just my own little voice talking to me, I think that the town is kind of open to some possible issues up there. We have a little deer fence on their back property line, which is trampled down in some spots, and it's all it. We've talked about that when we had the student club coming in that wanted to use our property. I've traveled around the state to several of the landfills, and they've got, I hate to call it security fence, but they've got high 6-foot chain link fence, you know, I like to call it chain link fence, but it is. It's extruded metal fencing around that landfill. That's a multi-million-dollar cover on that thing. And all it's going to take is some idiot to go up there with a 4-wheel drive or an ATV or something and spin down into that cover and dig a hole. And we're going to be liable for a huge repair to that landfill. I think that's something we all need to think about. Spending some money at some point in time in the future and putting up a fence to close that in.
Well, it's
Just
just
food for thought.
one thing to close in the old landfill. Another thing to enclose the whole property, which is a significantly
Yeah,
larger
I mean,
project.
it's, you're right, it might cost $250,000. But what's going to cost if somebody blows a hole in that liner?
Mm.
I'm not trying to throw up an alarm, I'm just trying to say, I think that we're open to liability if somebody blows a hole in our line, and we have,
Well, how do we establish a cost? Can we call fencing companies up and say,
yeah,
how much to enclose the old landfill and the current transfer station building, and how much to enclose the property?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Then
think,
we're looking about at a real number as
yes,
opposed to.
I can do that, I mean, I can call a couple of different companies and just say, how much to do this, and we could start by going along the back and just put up a block, you know, a blockade along the back boundary and just keep people from coming in. And at some other point in time, we could, the other side is covered by the great woods there, and, which is all barn. You know, and then, you know, at another point in time, we might be able to just go across the power line. You know, it doesn't necessarily all have to be in a ring shot, but I think it's something that we might want to think about.
Does it have to be a fence, or can we just post it every 50 feet or so?
Well, I mean, then, I mean, yeah, we could do that, but you're going to just be keeping out the RSP.
Yeah, you're subjecting the rules to language alone.
Yeah,
instead of-
it's like hunting, you only keep out the honest people, and then the rest of the people you get fishing game chasing.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not saying it's gonna be done tomorrow, I just want you to think about it. Cause I don't have any way to chase them, in come winter time, it's, all I can do is chase them with pair of snowshoes.
Yeah. Right, should that be something that goes into the capital improvement plan?
Well, let's get a number first,
Yeah.
see what it's gonna be, maybe.
You know, and then down the road, I can put in the CIP or whatever.
Yeah, because we're already talking about buying another, what is it, 10 acres down there,
Thought it was 15, but
or 15, so.
And, you know, that was another thing that was, you know, like, when I talk about it offline here, but we've got another piece of property which is very close by, which is a large piece of property that abuts the transfer station that at some point in time in the near future could come available. I don't know what the family's going to do with it. Down the road, 10 years from now maybe,
Yeah.
but we should not let that property go because it's right next to the transfer station and
Yeah, we're not going out of business.
yes, and that would give us plenty of room to expand, just even if it meant a building. So, so that was just my 2 cents.
it sounds like you're paying attention to things.
So, trying.
Anything else for Chris?
I think that's funny.
I'd say have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Keep things running up there for us.
Yeah.
All right, we're ahead of schedule, as I say. I might note that the Maryland Protective Association has given us phase 2 of their plan that they've been talking about for us to look over. It's quite extensive. I'm sure we can take these home with us and really look
Yeah,
over.
one thought I had about that is, and hopefully they understand, we would need a 2/3 majority plus 1
Yes.
to do this. So I'm not certain. We haven't had luck with that level of participation before, but just that they understand that's what we need.
Right.
But,
Okay, well,
Audrey, did you keep a copy of that too? Ah, good.
I know Dennis is around. Maybe we can get him to come down.
He's coming in a minute.
Okay.
Related to that, when you met with Conservation Commission, you asked for sample documents to send to legal. So there's 2 sample contracts in here,
Right.
and I have reviewed them, and like they have an appendix for if they require federal. It's pretty standard language. I don't know if the town needs to incur a legal expense. You might want to review them, but both contracts are pretty
Okay. Yeah, I'll read.
straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Quick to ask a question.
Go ahead, they're waiting on you.
Did you guys vote on that pickup truck out there?
No.
Did you? No.
the pickup truck.
They
service pickup.
I didn't know if you guys were gonna get that done. Not get that done.
What are you gonna do with it?
Well, it seems like it's not recommended to plow it, so
It's a half-ton pickup truck.
it was, well, I mean, you can put plow on that.
You can get a half-ton plow on it, I
Yeah.
know, but
But, so apparently it sounds like it's, well, be used for errands and going to plane. That's not gonna work,
It'd be nice to get it out of the parking lot.
then it's gonna be,
before winter, you know.
Well,
that's,
Move it up to the transfer station without making a decision other than to.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
we've got plenty of room up there, to stick
Park
it,
it
but
up there for the winter.
But we lost out on the frequent time suburban that went to somewhere else. But if it's not gonna work, then we'll just have to wait and for another day and ask for a pickup truck another year. But
I mean, if you can put it to work,
yeah,
I would entertain it, but I don't know what the hell you can do with it.
Well, it's roadworthy, is it not? I don't know.
I mean, it needs a little tinkering, but I mean, we'll use it.
The last I heard, parts were falling off of it in the parking lot.
Of course, they would say that, wouldn't they?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it needs
I guess I'd wanna,
TLC, but
you know, like, you mentioned going to training, going to meetings, that sort of thing. So 2 questions come to mind. Is it roadworthy enough to go to those meetings? And 2, how often does that happen? So how much mileage have we paid in 2023 for that kind of activity? And how much will we offset by keeping the truck?
I don't think that's a good use for it. I think if there's a half-ton plow out there that we could bolt onto it, you might be able to use it, but anything other than that, I think we'd be better off selling it.
Okay, yeah, we
My
haven't.
humble opinion.
We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm
No.
just asking for something I can compare selling it to. I mean, if selling it got us $3,000, but keeping it saved us $1,500 a year for 2 years, and we're at the same spot. I don't know what the mileage is.
yeah, I mean, I'm only gonna use it for plowing if I can get a plow, which is gonna cost $2,000, and probably take some scrap metal to the scrap yard and,
We've got, the backhoe still works? The backhoe up there?
yeah.
So you got plow boxes that work on that, plow boxes that work on the skid steer. Now we need a pickup truck as well, I don't know how much I wanna invest in snow removal. and-
How bad do you want it?
Well, I mean, it would be handy, but
I say sell it.
I'm in agreement.
that's fine.
Alright, well, I say at least move it up to the transfer station before it gets sold.
That's right. Get it out of the parking lot.
We don't have a parking lot.
Sell it and be gone with it.
If we can get the keys, I'll volunteer to do it tonight if somebody will follow me out.
Why don't we have the police department do it?
Oh, well, that would be a good idea. They could arrest themselves for
That's
unregistered
right.
vehicles.
Just have
Parks and
them,
Rec will take it.
just have them leave it outside
Oh,
there
boy.
and throw the keys under the rug and we'll move it.
All right. We've got Parks and Rec up to talk about their budget.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Good evening.
You know, Eileen, she's our chairman,
Yes, indeed.
chairwoman, and we met last week. It was kind of a pretty easy exercise, believe it or not. I think I told you guys we went from 67 to 75, so it's not
Like a heartbeat.
as crazy as a lot of my ideas. You probably thought I came in with $100,000 budget, but I did not. I'm gonna let her go through it, but I will explain some things that I think we organized the budget in a way that is best gonna, fill our needs with a lot of different things, both maintenance, swimming. Some of the things that come up this year, we kinda combined it with a couple other line items, so I'm gonna let her go through it and I'll jump in where I think it's needed, so.
Well, the first one is the program director himself, and that's just the 3%
Right.
that goes with municipal employees. So that's a straight. The second one needs a little bit of explanation.
Yeah.
So Dennis is now working about 20 hours a week, which is what we authorized, or you guys authorized last time. And there are times during the year that either he's not available or we feel as a commission he needs an understudy. And there is a person identified that would be interested in this, and it was, what was the salary again? Yeah.
Basically, again, my hours go down certainly in the winter, but we're just looking at 40 weeks, 8 hours a week. So that'd be
At the hourly salary.
320 hours at $20 an hour, which comes out to $6,400. But again, I'm 71. I don't know if I'm going to work for another year, another 4 years. I don't know. But I think it would be great to, and actually I've talked to a person about it, you know, saying that of course our commission went for this idea. Bob was at the meeting, and she's the secretary of the PTCO. Her name is Ashley Esposito. She's not related to Phil. That was a joke.
A hockey player.
I chose to ignore it.
She was a police officer in Hartford, Connecticut, for quite a bit of time, and then she injury prohibited her. So she's up here full time anyway. But I talked to her a little bit about you know, whether you call an assistant director or just another staff person. She would be the likely person to take over for me, obviously, if I left in a year or if I left in 4
Or
years.
if, you know, God forbid, in the middle of the summer, we need somebody to stand in quickly.
I think that, you know, the key is too, that more importantly is, it's gonna allow us to do other things. You know, there's issues this year where I'm doing maintenance, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, writing grants, running programs, so I put it in there, and I think Bob was in favor of that, our meeting, our commission was.
Our commission voted in favor of it.
We put it in there for a few different reasons, so I don't know what your feeling is on it.
Okay. So the next thing would be the water safety instructors. So we have had no lifeguards, but we have had one person, am I correct, doing
Yeah, one
the,
person, and again, we didn't have the 50 swimmers in swim lessons, we had about 30. So she didn't use her whole budget, so talking to her, and again, we had a maintenance guy on the beach, and we were under budget on him also. His first year was awesome, last year was not so good. There was a few incidents, at times I got down, the beach wasn't raked, the pavilion wasn't clean. So the lifeguard actually wants to come in an hour early, and she said, Dennis, whatever I gotta do, rake the beach, clean the pavilion, clean the grills. So I think to get her back to that 3,500, we're gonna try and give her an extra hour of maintenance before swim lessons, and she would take pride in taking care of 19 Mile Beach. So that kind of eliminates
and
that
that's why the
support
next
staff,
went
which
down.
we do have a support staff as needed, not on call, not an hourly thing, not a weekly schedule, but things come up like we need that tree branch done, we need the baskets down at Central Park empty, we need this down at Melvin Wharf, and that would just be as needed. So if we kind of combined the swim director with the maintenance group in the morning, and then just kind of left it open for support staff to use at my discretion.
Then the youth assistance fund is, again, sort of a catch-all for things. We took it out of the town of Wolfboro and just moved the difference to the,
Well, and we don't know where it's gonna,
We don't, I understand.
won't know until December what's gonna
Right.
happen with that,
exactly,
until we get the invoice from Wolfboro.
right.
But I hope we have a plan to do something with it. And like I told you guys 3 months ago, we're gonna sit here come budget time and it's still gonna be $8,000 sitting there, so. To me,
Well, we hope
that's
so.
money that we could be using, and again, the building from Wolfboro could be 12 grand, we don't know, Bob.
Right.
But it could be
But-
8 grand, but again, I still think when it does come in, we should try to make an adjustment to where we can maybe use that money elsewhere to maybe do some maintenance projects too, so.
I understand what you're saying, Bob, because the two of these two lines are actually kind of together. Whatever we don't end up legitimately paying Wolfboro will fall back into that youth assistance. So that would be that one.
Yeah.
Lifeguards, equipment and training, that was for getting their licenses. certificates or whatever they call.
Right.
Did they go to the Red Cross?
They're Camp Sentinel.
Camp Sentinel.
Yeah.
The beach and wharf toilets, again, that's just a small bump just because
Yeah.
everything else
So
goes.
this year, and I'm sure you don't have any lifeguards working right now. You've only spent $348 of that 500.
For the training, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not gonna spend any more than
No,
that.
and I think on the potty patrol, she actually bumped us up last year after the budget was done. So we actually put it in this year's budget just in case she does it again.
At the toilets, that's the next line.
Yeah,
We bumped up the next line, the toilets. But as far as the lifeguard equipment and training, it's basically the training.
Okay, but so the toilets, you spent $3,000 about. So, do you need,
$29.50,
do you
yeah.
need that additional money?
Well, again, you know, she bumped us up after the budget process was done last year, so.
But you still didn't
Let
overspend.
me ask you a question if I may. Does those porta potties stay out there for the ice events and all that? Are they a year-round thing?
She brings in like a dozen of them for her ice brew fest.
Okay, so there's not one there
There's
in
one, yeah, they leave one,
year-round?
yeah.
So we are gonna pay a toilet fee year-round, the ice fisherman can use it, for example.
Right.
So,
Takes the handicap out and puts just.
so we still got more billing to come on top of that
Exactly.
$3,080.
Well, you have $4,200 budgeted. If they charge you $150 a month, which is what it seems they're charging you, then you only got $450 left to spend, so
Mhm.
now you're $3,500, $3,600 bucks.
Right.
I'm just wondering whether or not you need to go that extra money.
Yeah, again, just trying to be on the safe side,
Okay.
if she bumps it up again.
The next one will be Old Home Days, again. I think the town certainly appreciated what was done, and those expenses were flat.
Yeah, the one thing I feel bad about is that I didn't get a gift for like all the residents that showed up and stuff, so that's probably why there was an excess in there. And again, through that last series of tree cutting and stuff, we did kind of move budget stuff around, and talking to Audrey, I moved it in different areas, but actually it's gotta go to the right area, so one area, whether it be the recreation, is gonna be way over, right, Audrey?
Yes.
And then the other ones, but the bottom line will still be under, yeah.
Concerts and details and banners, that's what?
Okay, so you spent $1,215 this year.
We got rained out a couple of times.
Just once,
Just once?
once, yeah.
Okay.
And how much were you gonna have to pay that
How many
back?
concerts did you actually
We had
have?
8. We might go to 9 next year because they wanted the 4th of July, we normally don't go to
So you did 8, or you had 8 and you had one canceled, you did 7?
7, yeah.
7? Okay. So it's $200 a concert, basically.
Well, we offset it by the sponsorship that come in, so the net, the net is
no.
200.
We're just working on this end of
Yep.
things.
Yeah,
You know, I look at what you spent this year
Okay.
and what you're asking for next year.
In the recreation areas, that's all the things that Dennis was talking about, the maintenance of the,
well, I think too, when Bob asked at the meeting, what is the recreation? What comes out of that? Well, it's quite a bit, you know, I mean, that sign out front comes out of that, you know, some maintenance stuff comes out of it.
Yeah, you
Program
spent,
equipment,
they
trophies.
spent $3,144 so far this year. Oh no, $4,812, I'm sorry. So they've almost spent the $5,000
Yeah,
that they've had this year.
yeah. So is that, the figures you're looking at, Chip, that's through October or actually
Yeah,
through?
through October 23rd.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
To today.
Yeah.
Okay, because I get different figures, so obviously.
Yeah, these are fresh.
Yeah, okay.
trash, again, that's picking up the trash, the people that pick up the trash.
Yeah, Billy's been great, he hasn't, I don't think he's gone up since I've been here.
Yeah.
So he's been real good.
That's
Does he do
black.
bills at the end of the year or something?
Yeah, just once, yeah.
So, back to recreation areas. Do we wanna go an additional $1,000 on that?
That's what we put, yeah.
That's what they did.
I
You went
know,
from 5 to 6, you wanna go to 7?
No,
Well, there's,
I mean, we got a 9% increase.
Right now,
most of it is
Budget to
the,
budget.
is
Yeah.
the
right now,
Yeah. So, any of these that could.
9%, but most of it is the assistant director.
Right,
Six
it's
grand.
$7,700, so if you take the $6,400 out of that, you're square,
yeah.
Right.
or pretty close. Trash is okay. And have had other people doing the beach and dock and string lines and all that stuff. So
Zach, Zach,
you're
how's
at
that?
$3,500 there, you were at $3,500 last year, you spent 3,000. It's 3,500 enough,
Yeah,
okay. And that, I mean, sooner or later, you're gonna have to buy something for there.
we've been looking at that, yeah. Again, we question without swim teams having the swim lines, and,
Yeah.
he was actually looking at these two other little docks, not as big, to put out there. I mean, it looks nice to have the two things with the lines, but again, do we need that? I don't know, but we've had issues over the last few years with, I think we've solved all the little parts issue by going online and getting the $75 hinge instead of the $600 and something hinge, so I think we're gonna be good at least for another year, what we got.
Your assistant director position, I got a note that you figured out salary, but you haven't done anything for, the related expenses. What kind of related expenses would be on a part-time position like that?
Well, it'd be FICA, the typical.
Workers' comp,
I don't know if that would affect the workers' comp very much,
no?
no.
So our half of the,
Our health,
Yeah,
the unemployment,
yeah.
so 3.7. I guess the two areas that I would like to see some action here is old home days and concerts, and I think we can take $500 out of each one of them. That doesn't, I don't know that will bring us down under 9%, but.
Yeah, I think I could probably agree with the concert thing. I don't know about Old Home Days. We try and build that up every year and make it better.
Yeah.
The concerts, I think we could get by with just the banners we've been doing and stuff, so.
Okay.
So you wanna reduce that line to 1,500 from 2,000?
On concerts?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I would like to. And that would change. I don't know that it makes any difference at all.
It would be nice if we could look in the crystal ball and see what the town of Wolfboro is gonna send us in December. Cause that would make all the difference in the world.
Of course it would, yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, the skating rink did open, so,
yeah, but I think we need to defend this tomorrow night probably, or maybe next
They're
time
gonna
around.
be there tomorrow.
I think they'll look at it. Oh, no, because we haven't given it to them, so it'll be in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, they'll have a while to mull it over.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
God knows
I'd
why.
like to, and I guess we're on television and being recorded, but I'd like to leave the $8,000 in there for Wolfboro, even if they fail to collect this year. I mean,
well,
it's not
they'll
gonna-
give us an accounting,
Yeah, it's,
and I believe you all wrote them a letter asking for an
Right.
accounting, and maybe if it doesn't come with an accounting, then we have to reiterate we would like an accounting so that we can
Right.
tally it up by the differential.
But right now, Parks and Rec has spent 55% of their operating budget for the year as the end of October. So they got 2 months left. So it's probably gonna be somewhere around $36,000 or $37,000 out of a $67,000 budget. If you take the $8,000 out of that, you're $12,000 unspent. And thinking about Dennis's wants and his annual
Yeah, no,
or daily needs for
I
us
know
to
where you're going.
approve something,
He's got a budget that's underspent.
he's got a budget that works too.
Yeah.
So I don't have a hard time defending that, but I would like to bring it down to under $75,000. That's just my feeling.
Well, subtracting the 1,500 does bring it down under 75,000.
You subtracting.
No, it was
500.
500.
500.
Oh, gee, I wrote 15, oh my
Yeah.
God. See, I would've got it right down. I'm going wrong.
1,500 is a total,
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So there's $172 over 75,000.
right?
And I think we can stay at $4,200 for lifeguards and equipment.
42 for the porta potties?
No,
No, that's-
lifeguards and equipment.
That's a
That's
500.
That's
500.
$500.
No, it's $4,500 that you're asking for, and I'm saying $4,200.
No,
What you
it's-
get.
No, wrong line.
Wrong
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, jeez.
It's the toilets.
It's, uh,
God, I gotta get new glasses. Hold on. The toilets.
So if you kept that level funded, you'd be under 75.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion that, let me just do the math, so it's $700, so 7,5, 672 minus 700 equals. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve a budget of $74,972 for Parks and Rec, which would reduce the beach toilets to level funding at 4,200 and concerts
To 15.
15.
1,500. So I'm making that a motion.
Are you voting on those two lines separately?
No, that's just a description.
what was the total again, 70?
74,972.
972.
I'm not gonna second because I serve on that committee, but I will vote.
Well, if it has to be seconded, it has to be seconded, doesn't it? I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
I can tell. Can you explain your opposition?
Yes. When I gotta go, I gotta go. I want a toilet to be there. If the prices go up and we can't afford it, I got a problem.
Well, I
And that's
think,
fine. It's been voted on 2 to 1.
It's not gonna leave,
Approved.
the toilet's not gonna leave.
Yeah, we're always gonna have the toilets, what I'm,
We'll end up paying a little bit more from somewhere else.
yeah, and historically, you've done a very, very good job with your budget, and you've underspent it year
Right.
after year after year. So I think if we end up going over $150 on the toilet line, I think we can find another place to
right, I think
get
we'll
that
still
from.
be,
I think we're safe.
So
we'll
Yeah.
still be 20% under.
the motion was made, the vote was done.
Cool.
Budget's approved.
All right?
Yeah.
Cheers, thanks.
Thanks for everything you do.
I do have a question. I would like to understand the relationship between the budget and the revolving fund. Again, from the selectman's perspective.
The relationship between the budget and the
The
revolving.
Parks and Rec budget
Yeah,
and the Parks and Rec revolving fund.
Right.
if you take in revenue it can go into the revolving fund and you can reuse it. If it goes, if it, right? Right, that's it, it's no more.
No.
That's it.
And there's no, I think there's an issue, not with you guys, with understanding that relationship. Now, we had Jack explain it, that was my understanding. If we took in something, let's say at the concerts, Dennis had a bucket for the bike trails, which he did. That money goes bike trail to bike trail in the revolving fund. That's what it's for, that's what it's designated for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's totally up to your Parks and Rec people. When you take money and say it's for the bike trail, and you put it into the revolving fund, if tomorrow some other need comes up where you have to use that revolving fund,
Well, there's other lines in the revolving fund beside that.
you know.
So my understanding was as yours, when we had Jack, if there was income designated to go into the revolving fund and an associated expense would come out of the revolving fund. So, for example, if we were able to finance the bike trail, that would all come out of that line that's in the revolving fund.
Or you could take your whole revolving fund.
Well, okay,
You're not
but there's
limited.
no commingling or there's no moving from budget to revolving fund or back and forth.
This
Exactly.
budget, no.
Right.
But anything within the revolving fund, you can use that money for any
For recreational.
recreational purpose.
Right.
So for instance, I'm gonna ask the Hurlburt Trust to write you a check for a donation. And ostensibly it's gonna be for the bike trail. But you're not limited to spending it only on the bike trail.
Right.
You are limited in that, although I don't know that we've ever voted on it, but you can't move money into this budget. from
Or
the-
out of this budget.
No, you can't move any money out.
Right. You can't move any money into the revolving fund from the budget.
No.
That was my understanding. I just wanted to clarify that,
And
because,
you can't move any money from the revolving fund into the budget.
correct.
So it goes both ways.
Right.
And you can accumulate money
Yes,
forever.
yes, I understand that. I understand that part. I just wanted to make sure that I was on the correct.
But if somebody writes Parks and Rec a check for $4,200 to pay for your toilets,
No, then we should probably go to the budget.
well, no, if they write it to Parks and Rec to pay for the toilets, I
Yeah.
think you can put that into your revolving fund and pay for your toilets out of that, and you magically have
Well, you
$4,200 left over at the end of the year.
Yeah, I suppose you could, but that really gets confusing at that point.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's
if somebody writes a check,
for a
says
purpose.
I'm gonna write you a check for $4,200, it isn't gonna come out from outer space. Say, write it to the revolving fund, parks, and that's just for recreational
Right.
purposes. If they start writing for toilets, then it just gets too confusing. They've already got a budget for toilets,
I know.
you know?
And if,
And it's actually, the toilet really isn't actually a recreational activity.
well, yeah.
It's-
That's Guy, it is.
What kind of reading materials you got in there?
It's a need, it's not a want.
I just use that as an example.
Okay.
No, that's my understanding. So if there is, at the end of any budget year, unexpended funds, unencumbered, they go to the general fund, back to the general
Yeah, you don't
budget
get any
fund.
of this money.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Sue-
clarify.
Sue Weeks was trying to get it for the cemeteries last week. And we're,
I'm
No,
still trying to get
agricultural
anything.
or the agricultural commission, I'm sorry, not the cemeteries.
Okay,
We're still
I'm
arguing
good.
about that, so.
I'm on it.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great evening.
All right, so the budget committee will get this budget.
So what, is it January? When does the budget go? Because like,
500 from, was that
technically,
the
we
whole
can't
day's
January.
do an
January.
assistant director till after that.
Town meeting.
After town
Town
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, technically you can, and it gets backfilled, but
No,
it's a new position, so you have to wait till town meeting to vote it out.
yeah, okay.
But 40 weeks, the winter should be not working.
No, I just wanted to, you can talk to her about time frame. That's what.
Well, it's here.
Did we take, did we take $500 from
So
concerts
push
on
tomorrow,
holidays?
Jeff.
I'm
No,
sorry?
concert.
We're gonna push tomorrow to what, 10 grand?
I gotta push as hard as I can, buddy. You know?
All right, now
Here's
we're
your
in the
pen back,
selectmen's
it doesn't
update
work.
and town administrator's report. Let's have Audie come down and give us the report.
So you already covered the Conservation Commission dropped off the Merrill Lake watershed plan. And I want to go back to the library because if we look at what's been spent to date and how the budget is, the budget's in at 66,000. And that's what calculates into the total budget that the town votes on. So that includes, that's without anticipated revenue.
Exactly.
So when we put the budget together for the voting this year, I'm gonna put in the 72,000. I'm
Yes.
gonna do the same thing,
Right.
okay?
And then,
Is that standard?
yes,
I don't,
because if they don't get the anticipated revenues, they need that budget. If they do get it, they don't spend it all.
Right.
We put it back in the, I'll call it the general fund, but it would go in the undesignated fund balance.
okay.
That's how simple that works. It really is. But it's wicked confusing compared to anything else. Yeah,
And that happened, and that's why we didn't give them the extra 15, or the other $15,000 didn't happen last year. I don't think.
Right, because I know the money goes back in,
Right.
so you just approved the budget at 237. That did not include, that wasn't the 72,000 amount, that was the 52,000 amount.
Right,
So you didn't approve the budget,
we proved it less
right,
that,
Right.
$50,000.
they didn't ask for it.
Well, we didn't.
no, so that's my concern. If they don't get that anticipated revenue, then they're limited to,
The town is limited to paying them.
so I'm only gonna put the 52 in. I'm not gonna put in that extra 95.
So that 15,000 that they get, where does it come from and where does it go?
It stays in-house.
Yeah, that's all there.
That's
there.
there, so they have it, so they have it.
Right, so,
Well-
but if they don't get their anticipated revenue, they have to work with less money. Because you voted.
Or draw from their own pot.
So,
Well,
so
I
next,
think our budget of 237,000, which is what we voted,
mhm,
covers their operating expenses.
no.
No?
If you look at that,
I'm
the
looking
sheet
at
you're looking
this.
at, they're saying their operating budget is on the right, the 256. So,
Where's Gordon Hunt when they need him?
So it's the $19,000 worth of development programs.
it's their anticipated revenue.
That's their anticipated revenue. So,
So if they
What?
don't get that,
okay,
they have to work without it.
They will.
So next year, I'm only gonna put the 237 into Muni Smart, into the town budget.
so
I see what you're saying.
this year we put in 184. No, last year. Library,
Last year.
176, okay. So last year we put in 176, and this year we're putting in.
No, look at the next line down, look at the total. You put it-
237? No, 243.
243, you put in the number to the right. Yeah, his two sheets, the 2023 and 2024.
And last year they predicted $16,170 in revenue, if I read this correctly.
Right. So we've been paying less that, but they could potentially ask for more if they hadn't received that.
Yeah, so last year, and their total salaries was 176,621,
Mm-hmm.
and this year they're looking for 184,217.
Perfect, yeah.
That's a 5% increase, 3% plus whatever gains they have.
Yeah.
And then their budget is 52,000 versus 66.
But if you look at that 66 is the total budget. It includes anticipated revenue.
Sure, so they're presenting it on a gross basis, like we would a warrant article.
Well, you
So they're rolling the dice by presenting it the way he did.
They always do.
So you have 23, let me turn this way. You have 23 and 24, and last year you put this number into the operating budget,
Right.
and this year you're putting this number.
Right.
So you're changing your methodology.
We're satisfying his ask, I think is what we're doing.
It sounded like that's
Yeah.
what he wanted. He wanted to take that money out.
Right. And it had something to do with the $15,000 that didn't happen last year.
No, that's why he was explaining the increase, why it went from 36. Really, it would have gone 51 and then upwards. So maybe the 66 was incorrect last year. Just making sure I put in the right thing.
Well, I think,
Well, if I was the budget committee, I'd have one of the library trustees in here to explain it all, and not the library director.
Okay,
That would be the best way, and Gordon Hunt has explained it more than once,
okay.
and is quite capable of doing it again. And he may show up anyway.
yeah, and they're gonna be $25,000 underspent this year, the rate they're going, their current rate of travel. So,
The likelihood of it being a problem is very, very small.
No, I just wanna make sure I'm doing it the correct way, because you now have 14,000 in your budget, and that's a place that can help with your overage on your roads.
right.
Well, come January, we'll know all about that, won't we?
Well, hopefully it's before January, we have to make
So-
it before December 31st.
I'm just saying, if you did the same methodology, you'd have that other.
The problem.
And next year we won't.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna
Yeah.
be a problem. I don't.
Well,
All right, let's move on.
Okay,
Give me a headache.
yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, but if we're gonna do this, we need to stick to it and continue doing it, or
all right, so,
the way we were doing it.
on the RSAs for the Agricultural Commission, they should be getting the funds that go into Agricultural Commission. And this year, revenues of 1,692 have been collected against the Agricultural Commission. And I guess that money by RSA should go into an account for them.
So it was already deposited into the general fund.
Yes,
Yeah, but that's,
but just like Conservation Commission, I mean, you
You
could
can
get,
move money out.
you move money out, just like when you pay the trustee, the trust fund, the money out of there. So,
Yeah, my objection was, one, retroactive. I'm not gonna vote for retroactive funding. And two, whether or not Mrs. Weeks believes it or not, we need to vote to establish this policy. And it
No, you
was-
did that when you,
When
in
did we do that?
2008, you did it in
We
2008.
established this fund?
You established an agricultural
Right, we
commission,
established,
and this RSA goes along with
okay,
that.
we established an RSA, agricultural commission. I'm happy about that. The establishment of funds, I hold separate, but
But that's
That's
like
just my
saying, that's
position.
like
The
saying
RSA
you,
says differently.
right, that's like
Okay.
saying you established a conservation commission, but you're not gonna roll over their lapsing funds. The RSAs go together, it's all part of RSA 674.
I think we could probably still say, no, we're not gonna give them the money, but that's just my position. So I'll make a motion that we establish a fund for the.
Well,
We did that last week.
We did that.
So
Give them
I
the
just,
money.
okay, so make sure that's, okay,
And you two guys should vote against it. Okay? I'm as angry as you are. You two guys should vote against it. Nobody on the agricultural commission except for Mr. Pike, who's a selectman, is elected. No one on the Parks and Rec Commission, except for you, is elected, but you can be overridden by those committees. Now you have unelected people collecting and spending money that is the town money. That's what bothers Chip. I don't like the idea that there's no controls over this, other than, you could have 10 people on your Parks and Rec committee, which at that point nullifies Mr. Pike's vote as a conservative selectman. They can spend the money on anything they want. They could buy farm property for all that. We had nothing to say about what they can do with that money. That's not a conservative position to take.
No, but it is the RSA.
And,
well, they have to use it for agricultural purposes,
okay,
you know,
and
so
that's a
if,
pretty broad subject.
I believe it says that those funds have to be withdrawn with vouchers just like any other fund.
yes.
The treasurer has
treasurer,
Treasurer
yeah.
has, yeah.
Mhm.
So there is some control there. If the treasurer says, why are you buying a Volkswagen Beetle? You're agricultural commission, we're not gonna do that. But what was your motion? We already decided to establish
My
a fund.
motion is moved because you've already established it.
Okay,
It's
we
an
established a fund.
Yeah.
You just don't wanna take any money out of the general fund now. We wanna do it going forward.
I was with you
Mm-hmm.
until I had something to hang my hat on, and I can hang my hat on the RSA. The RSA, once you establish the agricultural commission, it comes with the RSAs.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
So did you make a motion? I thought
No,
you
there's
did.
no motion.
No, 'cause
I
you-
tried to, but it didn't happen.
Didn't happen,
No,
okay.
no.
So now what am I supposed to vote no?
No, there's no voting.
There's nothing, there's no vote necessary.
Good. I'm still getting a headache.
So, kind of like the library, the RSAs follow it and they can do what they want.
And Conservation Commission,
Right.
Okay,
Okay, we could go to the Conservation Commission, I'm not gonna waste all night. But when we give them half of the, land use change tax,
Right.
they can do whatever they want with it.
true.
kind of, with an RSA, yeah.
Not much control over it. We controlled it by limiting it to $5,000.
Mhm.
But you are giving boards that are not elected money, and I just have a, and I'm the only Democrat here. One would think I wouldn't have any trouble with it at all, but I do. I
Yes,
have
but I've
trouble
already
with it.
spoken many times, you're the most Republican Democrat I know.
When
So,
it comes to money, it is.
Okay, so our tax rate is not yet set. And DRA said it's because the village submitted their budget on September 30th from their annual meeting.
gotta be Hidden Valley.
Beach Pond,
Lower
Hidden
Beach
Valley. Oh, yeah, Lower
Pond,
Beach
so
Pond, yeah.
she being Michelle from DRA. And so for many years, I guess Lower Beach Pond had a bond and took care of it. Now they submit their forms to DRA and somehow they collect fees. And so Michelle doesn't anticipate there's going to be any tax impact to the town. However, she's reaching out to them again to finalize getting their forms in. So I know our tax collector is anxious to have a tax rate, and that's what we're waiting on.
Well, we also get to review that. I know there's resistance about that, but we do get to review that
The,
tax rate.
yes, you do. But we wanna get it out still. You wanna get it out as soon as you can.
Maybe the tax collector should call Michelle.
She wants to have her
No, she'll talk
tax
to me,
rate by
she'll be
the end
fine.
of October every year.
I
It's always
understand.
the first November before she
Yeah.
gets it.
And I have the names of the people on Lower Beach Pond I can reach out to as well.
Okay.
Okay. So I am meeting the financial workshop that wraps up next week, and this week, thank goodness. I've been feeling like I'm missing out being here a lot. And I'm meeting with Jack on November 3rd at 3:30. One of the things that the Board of Selectmen are required to do by RSA is to review an investment policy on an annual basis.
Mhm.
And I haven't been able to find that policy. I've reached out to Jack. He's gonna see if he has one. And
Trustees of the trust funds may have that.
theirs is separate.
Okay.
You need one for the town. So the budget committee, how much time do you want me spending with them? For example, I have not been doing the agendas. And I don't mind working with Rob.
I thought Rob was doing the agendas.
He is right now, but he would like me to do more. And in the last meeting, he requested something, how Kathy presented it in MuniSmart compared to the spreadsheets. But then he would also like the percent to date, what the board voted, and I can't do that in MuniSmart. So unfortunately, we missed each other today in meetings, and we'll talk tomorrow. But he said in our initial discussion today is that I need to take direction from the board, obviously, and how much.
What's the information difference between MuniSmart and the other way of doing things?
I gave you some approved sheets to update your notebook, and in those I have the board voted. I created a total,
Right.
and then I said the board voted 3-0, and then a percent
So
change.
these,
There's a summary sheet as well.
okay.
And so he wants to know the percent change, and I know they need to be in MuniSmart, of course, but I don't feel like it's worth my time maintaining two systems all the way through.
He wants to know the percent change between last year's budget and what's been approved for the next year's budget.
Right,
Is
so
that
if
what
you
you're saying?
look at that summary,
That's the sheet with all the budgets.
right, exactly, so if you look at this summary sheet, I modified it so that it tells him the board voted 3-0, and this is the percent change of each budget.
Mhm.
And it's tracking who has submitted their budget so far, what have received.
And that isn't good enough, or that's not what Rob's looking for?
Well, and we can talk about it, he wants to talk about it live tomorrow night as well, but that's not what you had last year. So,
Right. Well, the difference being that you did your own calculations. I mean, I sat here tonight doing calculations on percentage of increase.
right, so they're in here, but I'm doing them on the board approved for him.
Right.
Um,
But I would just clarify for me, is this extra work?
So taking the minutes and setting up an agenda is extra work, and so I guess we
Okay.
just have to say, what they walked into last year was a packet ready for them, and everyone had their own packet and
Right.
everything, and, am I supposed to make that whole packet as far as
Those, okay, those are two different things though. It's this report versus the MuniSmart report. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that's a piece of it. That was an example of what he
Okay.
asked for in the last budget meeting.
Okay.
So it's putting food into your minds for, planting the seed. So tomorrow when we discuss it, you can think about how much support you want me to
Well,
provide.
okay, I mean, if there's gotta be a certain amount of effort put into the budgeting, where's the best money spent? Is it creating a separate report that satisfies some need of the budget committee? Or is it providing the paperwork that they need to have every meeting? I don't know. It seems to me that,
Well, there was a secretary last year besides Kathy.
right, but we also only have this stuff to work with. You know, this, whatever, is this MuniSmart?
Yes,
Okay, we just had this with a 5-year look back and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
so that's all we had to work with and whatever the departments gave us. So, I mean, I can't imagine that that's hard to generate.
So the information is available. Is the problem that he's asking you to consolidate it and put it on one sheet? Or actually digging out the information?
Both.
Well,
I think,
Yeah,
what I'm getting at is, I
I
think,
think he wants me to be more prepared for the meetings, putting packets together and having everything ready. And how much time should I spend doing that? Should I be doing the agenda?
Well,
you're not the secretary of the.
here we go. RSA 32:16, duties and authority of the Budget Committee. Section 2, to confer with the governing body or bodies and with other officers, department heads, or other officials relative to estimated costs, revenues anticipated, and services performed to the extent deemed necessary by the Budget Committee. It shall be the duty of all such officers and other persons to furnish such pertinent information to the Budget Committee. That sounds to me like they can ask anybody for anything, and we gotta give it to them. That doesn't seem right, but.
Well, what I was getting at, what I was getting at with,
Later.
what I was getting at with the question that I was
Yeah.
starting to ask is, yes, I think you need to provide him all the information he's asking for, but whether it's consolidated on one sheet or not, I'm not sure you have to do
All
that.
right, so we need to clarify that tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why a regular budget report doesn't tell them everything they want to know.
If he has to look at 2 or 3 pieces of paper to get the information,
And that's what he said exactly last
it's there.
meeting, that he doesn't want to do that.
Well, then that's where
Well,
I might draw the line.
part of what I heard when he said he didn't wanna do that, he doesn't wanna look in 3 different budgets for the total cost for a department. So what's the cost for a fire department? Well, you have to look in personnel and you have to look at insurance and you have to do all this other stuff to really find out what it costs. And debt service, that sort of thing, and buildings. So, yeah, we don't have the facilities to do that right now. I don't think.
So that's a discussion that's gonna come up tomorrow night.
And
So-
agenda, they don't have a secretary right now.
Right,
No.
So I still think it would fall upon, it doesn't say anything there in the RSA about
We can't withhold information.
clerical duties? It's not information.
No, it doesn't.
It's clerical duties.
It asks,
No.
says we have to provide the information,
Provide
whoever,
information.
provide the information. It doesn't say anything about clerical duties,
Right.
unfortunately.
Well,
so,
I mean, they don't wanna manage the town, we do. That's our job.
Right.
So how do we, so back to what they're getting for tomorrow night's meeting. They have an agenda, I saw it online, I guess it's
Yeah.
gonna get printed somewhere. They have each budget in this long form, or short form,
yep.
if you will. That the ones that they've already gotten to, and now they're gonna vote on, and then the new ones that they're just getting. They've
Right.
got all of that.
right, and the 5-year history for each of them.
Right, and they can come and pick it up, right?
Only one of them I need to print it out for. The rest are happy
They're online.
electronic.
Okay. I think that's the best I don't know, I mean, I think that's the best we can do for now.
Yeah,
If they want more clerical help, then they need to help us find somebody. You know, right now, we're the only ones looking.
And I have no bites on that.
No, I'm sure you don't.
Okay, and after the work session of October 6th, you didn't specifically say that you were not going to accept any of the bids you received, so is that,
Do we need a motion?
You talking in regards to the police station?
yeah, sorry,
says here that you received a call from the engineering firm. Who is that?
Bowen? Did I pronounce that
Or is it-
correctly?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bowen, yeah.
Right.
Because we had met with the chief and you discussed it and different approaches you might want to take, but you never said to,
We haven't made any decision,
okay. So
other
you're
than the
gonna,
fact that we were gonna try to get some,
right, do you want to
Other
include that
people
in
look at them.
Monday's work session, next Monday's work session?
Is there any hope of getting any information out of it?
electrical, yes. Fellow from DNR Electric is willing to look at the schematics and plans and.
But in general contractor terms,
Oh,
I know you were talking about.
Do you want me to have Jack participate next Monday?
to what end?
You had talked about him maybe helping.
I mean, was it, I know some general contractors' names came up, but is that not a player? Is that
I haven't seen anybody that's interested yet.
Okay.
Well, I've only talked to one person, and his biggest concern was bonding. I think if we're gonna put it out there, we need to decide if we're gonna put it out there and then actively try to recruit.
Well, do we have any alternative? I guess that's what Bowen's asking. Are
Are you gonna go with him or not?
we gonna present another warrant article? Where are we gonna find the money? I
I'm
mean,
very uncomfortable asking for more money for something that's already, the cost that they presented, it doesn't seem right. It seems way too expensive for what we're getting.
I think that's what we decided the last time we were talking about it.
Pretty much.
But I'm happy to make a motion that we're gonna not hire Bowen or any other contractors bid on the project to do the project.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Aye. You can notify Bowen will not be proceeding with that,
Okay, thank
Or
you.
anybody else.
or anyone else that bid on the project.
Yeah,
Okay.
just so they don't think we're singling them out.
Okay, is that one off?
Thank you.
Retirement system has new software.
Yeah, they have new software and I only have one exception, that they're working on a bug. They keep wanting me to put a hire date in for the police chief and it keeps bouncing back and they're having a problem too, so. They have to figure out their bugs. And the other thing I can't do is pay them electronically and they're working on that, so. That's in the open, so we don't have to pay late fees. You might have seen my expense voucher last week when you signed
I
things.
did, and I was wondering why, we don't have a credit card kicking around here?
Doesn't cover mileage.
No, I know it doesn't cover mileage, but there was a
Oh, I
purchase.
did buy some stamps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I don't.
that was like the week I first came and I know Jack had the only credit card, so,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, any employee purchase should be few and far between.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. So I can see email on my phone, but don't depend on me. You should have my cell phone numbers if you need me, and I'll give them to you privately. And And then next week, I'm gonna start 5 days a week and not that every Friday off and see how that looks like. I could take a couple hours when I'm here late, like tonight, or you could throw 40 hours into the additional budget for me. And I thought I'd put that out for you guys to think about.
That means we'd have to change that budget tonight, because it's gonna get to the budget committee tomorrow,
Yes.
if we're gonna change the budget.
Or you could change it there, because all three of you, two of you
I
are there tomorrow.
I won't be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
Or we can just leave it alone and see.
right. You
If,
could-
I mean, I'd like to think that we would,
I don't mind taking
Take
an
it-
afternoon once in a while.
right, and take advantage of the line that we have for clerical help and fill it.
Right,
I mean, we've certainly got,
All right, so we'll go with that.
okay,
yeah.
all right. And Health Trust just emailed me their new 2024 rates, and I'm having our contact Teresa do comparisons. So hopefully I have those in 2 weeks.
Good.
When we were looking at the revenue back in September, maybe August, you asked about revenue, Bob asked about revenue for the sale of municipal property. And that's actually a rental of property to Verizon. So we get revenue,
Oh, it's not a sale, it's a rental.
yeah,
Yep, for that cell.
right, but that
Okay.
category,
That was just the wording that
right,
confused me,
right.
threw me off, okay.
And that might be, I'm gonna say a lesson for the, budget committee, because Rob asked me about the numbers of the accounts, and that's all driven by
DRA.
DRA, it's their numbers.
This estimated revenue?
Yes, I think when we reviewed that,
Right.
yeah,
But those, the actuals are obviously the actuals. but
right,
We estimate,
right.
those are our numbers.
Yeah. There are a couple budgets I'm gonna present differently to you this year. Under the planning and zoning, I have them, they'll be presenting separately, so you're gonna get, I'm gonna say, two different spreadsheets with their numbers. So,
the
Okay, yeah.
Planning board and then the zoning board
ZBA.
adjustment.
yeah,
right,
because
okay.
they fall under the same number, and in Unismart, they're the same number,
Mhm.
but they're really two separate boards, and they don't like their numbers commingled. And I'm gonna do the same with 4150 finance administration, so you'll see the tax collector's numbers separately from,
The town clerk.
no, it's more like the copier and the computer and
Oh.
all that other administration.
Okay. So you're just taking the tax collector out of here?
Right, she has about
Okay.
6 lines in there,
Right.
so when she talks to you, you'll see just her numbers.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Seems like we're moving along.
Alrighty, great.
Now it's time for selectmen's updates.
Okay. I've got 3 copies of the letter from Parks and Rec. Tomorrow I have a meeting with the Hurlburt Charitable Trust. I'll ask for money for a bike trail. I've gotten 1 completed solar, proposal, circa 2023 for 2024. And another one, we answered the question today, hopefully on an email, where he asked, so what you're looking for is a plan for this project that you're gonna put before the town in March, and so the answer obviously was yes. So I've got those 2. I talked to your lady, or I emailed your lady,
Mm-hmm.
and her business is not building these things, from what I understand. It's making them work economically. So I haven't been able to get her to send a builder my way, or whatever, whoever does their building for them. But I'm gonna continue to push on that.
Well, she reached out and wanted to be part of the discussion, so.
Well, in part, and I haven't talked to her, so I'm just guessing, that so many of these projects end up being a lease purchase thing or a private-public partnership thing, that there's lots of money moving around. That's not really what we're looking for here, so I'll continue to try to work on that. I did.
On the note of solar?
Yep.
A selectman's letter in the Tuftonboro Times that I wrote created quite a hoo-ha on social media, for, against, and otherwise. I want to reiterate to the public that no decisions have been made on this. All right, this is all in planning stages, and we did decide that it would be far more attractive, or less unattractive, to build a large array at the transfer station rather than try to put small ones on every building. And because as far as the financing or how it works, we've not gone there yet. We're still working on that. So, general public, take a deep breath, please.
And a reminder.
Yes.
Go to town meeting.
Absolutely.
At the last town meeting, we voted for a little bit of money.
We did
to get into this process.
Exactly.
If you'd been there at town meeting, you could have entered the debate. But to sit on social media and debate, you're just
crazy
yourself. Did you get the response that was sent back from DES on my letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not really satisfied with their response.
It was a non-response.
It was, have a nice day. And so I'm constructing a message to our attorney to see what action she thinks might happen, or what we might do going forward to get ourselves in the game there, because obviously he doesn't want to let us in. In that same vein, I'm looking at that $8,000 worth of Wolfboro Parks and Rec money and thinking, I'm also going to ask our attorney why we're not, or could we tax that property as an industrial waste site, because that's what it is. And that tax rate is a hell of a lot higher than their land rate currently.
Makes sense.
You know, if we're gonna have to spend $30,000 a year monitoring that brook, we need to recoup that 30 grand somewhere. We didn't create the problem, so I'll follow up on that.
Makes good sense.
Hopefully late tomorrow morning.
Bob?
At the CIP transfer station Parks and Rec meeting that we had last week, a good question came out, and I couldn't answer it. We were discussing the transfer station's wish to have a loader up there, and to help with snow removal, moving compactor bins and whatever else that they would use it for. And one of the questions that came out was, well, if plowing is a problem up there, what would it cost to have to put it out to bid and have Independence plow? Is that a reasonable discussion to have?
That's the first.
So is that something that we want to entertain? Or do we want to entertain putting something like that out to bid and see if we can get an independent to plow?
Would we have a line item that would fit in, or do we have to create another one for the transfer? I think we'd have to create another one.
Right, and
But that's
currently it's in the winter budget of the highway department.
right.
Right.
And
it doesn't negate the other uses that he needs that loader for.
no, not at all, but do we put all the plowing out for bid at that, I mean, it just seems like,
Well, the road agent could put it out to bid if you wanted to.
yeah.
It's been done before. This is not new. But obviously he doesn't want to, but,
Right.
I'm personally not in favor of putting it out to bid, because they're only looking at a financial standpoint. I'm looking at keeping the system that we have for more of a control standpoint. We know that we have our road agent, and we know that he's gonna plow, and we know that our people at the dump are gonna plow and do cleanup. When you hire an independent, you're basing it on a contract. Yeah, they would be in violation of a contract, but how do you word it? I'm uncomfortable with that kind of situation.
I don't think it's a plan. I think it's an issue with snow removal at the transfer station, that we need to have a group hug and a group meeting about getting the road agent to prioritize that on Saturdays or whatever days that are.
the station's open, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, we just have to,
Yeah, I
it's a
think
policy decision.
if there's actually a problem, was it presented as a problem?
Well, some of the discussion came up because when there's a snowstorm on a transfer station day, does the transfer station close, or do they maintain it, or how do we get the road agent off the roads and into the transfer station? What's more important, the roads or the transfer station?
I honestly think this is overselling the loader. I mean, we should just have a chat about overselling. You know, I need a loader up there for any number of reasons. Now I'm gonna add on 10 more that don't really have that much existence, but I'm gonna add them on anyway because I want that loader and I want it to look like I really need it. That's what I'm seeing here. I mean, we can talk to the road agent, we can talk to Chris again about snow removal. But I don't think snow removal or not snow removal is really gonna turn the key on that loader. It's all the other stuff that he's gotta do with it.
I would think that roads would be the priority, because if you can't get there, it doesn't matter if the transfer station's bare or even there, makes no difference at all. And the sad thing is, I can get there without driving on a town road. It's a long ways out of my way.
I've been going there for a long time.
Yes,
And I've never had a problem getting there,
Sure.
even in the winter. That's why I'm saying,
right.
you know, we want a loader for a purpose, and I don't know either.
And I think we should have more discussion with both the road agent and,
Well, these discussions are coming, because we're gonna be talking with the road agent about his budget, we're gonna be talking about the highway department with their budget. And a warrant article to put more money in for a loader, so we're gonna be having these discussions.
Sounds good.
Okay. That's it.
wow. I attended the Conservation Commission meeting, which happened to be right after our last meeting. And they were pretty excited to get the letter from DES that you mentioned, that welcomed any information that either the Select Board or the Conservation Commission would like to give them. Made perfect sense, that part of it anyway. As you say, the man made it quite clear that we're not a player as far as the permit goes. We have no say in that, but our information might be, useful enough that we kind of do have a backdoor say in what goes on. Other than that, they're working on more trails, the loop in the Lions property, for example, to connect around from the observation site around the bottom and back up to the hill again. They looked at their budget, and there's a line in there for timber lot improvements, and they had spent that, and it was determined that to improve a town lot to the point where you're going to make money on the timber was almost virtually impossible, because it's not only is it such a long term to get such timber to grow, but the way the prices are going, the owners are getting pennies, and the return on the investment wouldn't be worth it. And that's pretty much the gist of what went down at the meeting, as far as that went.
Well, I know that at the county, we always have a forester, and there's 800 acres of
Yep.
forest out there. And you don't make money every year, obviously.
No.
But every 10 or 15 years, you make some money,
Right.
but you do selective cutting and you do it right.
And the forester had gone out and told them that for the small lots that we have and the amount of money to be spent, basically it wasn't worth it. That was his recommendation there. Beyond that,
Yeah, unless we get cut before we got them. The one of them was cut pretty good.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time. That's all I can come up with.
Cool.
All right, is there any other business we'd like to discuss before we adjourn?
Are you gonna wanna,
Oh, yes, there is, I'm sorry, I'd like to go to non-public.
are you gonna wanna entertain any warrant articles next week when you're talking about the wharf project? I don't know how long you'll need, but you need to start talking about warrant articles.
Do we?
I don't
Sounds
recall,
like CIP wants you to.
in my
If you want
short time as a selectman, we haven't started this early.
Okay,
No,
I'm good with that.
it's usually in December.
I know that's my
Sometimes
experience
it's in
too, but I was
January.
hearing, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Anyways, to discuss this, should we go non-public?
If you, yeah, I think there's reputation involved.
Okay, I'd like to suggest we go to a non-public meeting, 91A would be reputation. Pike eye.
Murray, aye.
All the I.